Hustle in the lobby, bright lights, reflections. Screen flickers, tales of crime and affection. Baristas mix caffeine with tales of deception. Lawyers joke and shadows plot their redemption. Case files like popcorn scatter on the floor. Jury's out in line, folks begging for more. Quirky loopholes twist through every door. Paparazzi flash for the courtroom encore. Legal shenanigans theater, baby, where justice laughs. Crime and humor dance, baby, a curious path. Grab your ticket, honey, let the gavel smash. In the flood of laughter, see the roll splash. Scoundrels with a smile, defense on their lips.
Here it is, the translated being, the Mighty Morphin Mormon. She is Lori Vallow. Jesus told her she would be fine. Apparently, Jesus didn't talk to the jury.
Yeah, Jesus don't want me for a sunbeam, I think.
Apparently, he said no. He's like, she doesn't even go here.
Yeah. It's... Oh, this crazy lady.
Yeah, who the hell... Again, this woman was committed prior to her Idaho trial, found not competent until they got her to whatever levels of lithium she required, which I think was the gross national product of, like, Guam.
Seems legit.
Like, just levels of lithium. Like, honest to God, forget fluoride. Let's put lithium in our water. I think it might help some stuff.
It probably would. I mean,
it's a natural recurring mineral and metal. I mean, it's not like it's going to hurt us any more than it did fluoride, possibly.
Yeah, the only problem with this theory is that we have a Karen problem now, right? And so that problem is only going to get significantly worse if you put them all on lithium.
Wouldn't they be happier?
No. Well, you know how many, like, it seems like most people are on some type of an antidepressant or anti-anxiety or, make me happy drug. And, like, look how many cranky ass people we have now.
Well, I would just assume that's because we stopped frying, McDonald's French fries in peanut oil. I was going to restore that natural balance too.
Well,
except for one fryer for, like, you peanut allergy people, but, like, one a city. Look, we're doing our best here, but we need happiness too, and the ice cream machines will work in my America.
I'm not sure that's a campaign promise you can keep.
I don't think anyone
about the ice cream machines.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a lie, but at least one in a town will work.
One in every city, and when I say city, there will be like one in LA that will work.
Yes. Well, it's a stark improvement from current times.
Correct.
So, did you ever think you would see the day where Lori Vallow would become her own defendant? Well, her own defender, her own third-party intervener, Daryl Brooks style.
I mean, I never thought I would see the day. I mean, you hope for it, but you don't think that you would ever see it.
It's like one of them big wrecks in NASCAR. We all watch NASCAR because we're hoping to see everyone okay, but a big, like, how the hell did he walk away from that? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't get NASCAR. It is too noisy. It is too smelly. It is too hot. I understand that mostly what I'm just complaining about is the outside, but that's my general complaint with everything.
Yeah, I get it.
It's not in my room.
Yeah. I tend to like most motorsports. But NASCAR is one that has started to get on my nerves as of late. Because they've taken all the horsepower out of the cars and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway.
Well, I was never too big into NASCAR, so I didn't know that there have been wussification, stuff added, but
Yeah.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah. All in the quote unquote idea of saving money.
Well, they already don't have headlights. I mean, I thought that would save like a whole bunch. Plus, future legal cases when Karen Reed joins NASCAR.
Oh God. Is that a thing? Because that also would
No,
not
but
surprise me.
I mean, could you imagine driving with the stars and we just have incredibly terrible, like famous drivers like Caitlyn Jenner on what would only be, was it Death Race?
As
ABC,
terrible
talk
as
to
that
me.
is.
I would watch the shit out of it. You have no idea. I would watch the ever living crap out of this. Give them all, booby trap cars that have all the little spy gadgets. Could you imagine?
Oh, this is something I didn't know that I needed in my life.
I know, again, look, I don't have the technical skills to make it happen, but I am the idea person. Put me in a room, give me edibles, and I will have ideas for years.
The way to solve world's problems.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, let's get into this. Let's see if she uses the baby voice or not. Oh Lord, she's here. Hatchet face herself. And Trey Gowdy, for some reason, just decided to play judge.
Is that? I mean, that legitimately kind of looks like him. So, but then not him. Actually, is it?
I don't think it is him. I think Trey Gowdy's from South Carolina. I do believe he was the attorney general of either South or North Carolina. So I don't think he's in Arizona, but he does look like if Trey Gowdy and Ted Cruz had a baby, actually. Like, it'd be a miracle of science.
Uh,
or the sign of the second coming of the Antichrist. Either way, I'm here for it.
Either way, you're getting a 5-head baby.
Yeah, you're getting the Antichrist. Look, Damien has arrived, but he's cute while he's a kid.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have been charged with a crime, a serious crime. And the only question here is, did I commit this crime? Conspiracy.
Yes, that's generally why we have trials. Thanks for understanding and participating in our game today, Lori.
Is that the objective and outcome of what this is? I never understood it. I mean, I'm glad that she's explaining this to me.
I mean, I always wondered why I watched trials. I just figured pretty colors in the closed captions.
Yeah.
But now Lori's explained to me justice.
Yes. In the, did I do it?
I love that she's wearing the, eyeglasses of Sally, Jesse, Raphael.
There's a throwback.
I mean, I now trust her more. Without those red glasses, there is no, there is no, truthiness. I just can't buy it. But once you put on those red glasses, I get it.
Yeah. I get it. Sally was definitely believable.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
But Maury won. I mean, because can you not? I mean, how can you stop yourself as a 12-year-old who's supposed to be sick from school from watching a woman come for the 5th time to try to figure out who of the 18 men that she's already been, talking to is the father of her, 9-month-old child? I mean, that's just catnip. I mean, you can't turn that off.
No, you can't. I mean, it was like
That is a train wreck you just cannot drive by.
That's why Jerry Springer was the man.
He was. My mom wouldn't let me watch Jerry Springer, so I did anyway.
Yeah.
Conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit a crime. Okay, so you see. Okay.
Oh my God, Lori really is a real lawyer. She avoids the mic too. She's already found her natural footing as a lawyer. She's like, I will avoid the mic. Thank you.
Yeah. Definitely got that down.
Yeah.
There has to be an agreement. There has to be a plan. The evidence in this case will show that Charles Vallow and I got married in February 2006. It will show that it was my fourth marriage and Charles' third marriage. At that time.
So you've got a clean, you beat Henry VIII. Yay, both of you. Also, when maybe it's your fourth husband, maybe it's you. I'm just throwing that out there.
Maybe. There is a common denominator there.
It is. And I think it would be the crazy blonde who looks like Hatchet Face. Yeah. Change my mind though. I'm willing to have her persuade me that there was no agreement.
Was it a tacit agreement?
It was a tacit agreement. You know what? When I am president of America, I am searching out the asshole who told him to say tacit correctly, because that was the only reason. That was the only little bit of joy that Daryl Brooks has ever brought anyone, is making fun of him for saying tacket.
You mean that's not how you actually say it?
Well, look, I also blame him for my ability to say sustain sometime, because I'm like, God damn it, Daryl Brooks, sustained, not substained. Damn you.
Time we each had 2 children. I had Colby, who was 9, and Tylee, who was 3. Charles had Cole, who was also 9, and Zach, who was 7. The evidence will show that our family moved from Austin, Texas to Chandler, Arizona in 2009. The evidence will show that Charles and I adopted our great-nephew, JJ, who was born in 2012. It will also show that Charles and I were married for over 13 years and were raising 5 children. The evidence will show that I was a licensed cosmetologist and worked as a hairstylist for 20 years while we lived in Austin, Texas. The evidence will show that Charles was a licensed life insurance salesman and worked as an independent contractor, selling life insurance policies and annuities, and owned his own business. The evidence will show that Charles...
Well, the evidence will show that she was married, and before she went crazy, she was a relatively normal wife. And then she went crazy.
I mean, and that is definitely facts in evidence.
Yeah, I mean, when you start saying, like, I am a translated being, I've been with Chad Daybell, I in fact chose to marry him, multiple lifetimes upon lifetimes. Yeah, that's not a great thing. That's bad.
What is
no one wants to be married?
What's an elevated being?
So a translated being. So, okay.
Translated, my bad.
Okay, so I am going to tell you that I was trying to understand the LDS Church to try to watch this trial and try to understand it. From my very basic understanding, so the doctrines of LDS, there are 3 planes of heaven. Okay. So
is it like Delta American and...
Yeah, so I think there's the celestial, telestial, and look, they're different names, but basically they're different levels of heaven. And in order to get into like normal, just regular heaven, you, I think, have to be either born LDS, like, and baptized, or you can be baptized by proxy. So a lot of Mormons will like take their ancestors, it's big in genealogy, and then go to temple and get baptized for them so that they can accept their LDS faith in the afterlife if they want to and go on to different heaven.
Okay. I thought you were I thought you were referring to like baptism by proxy, kind of like what Travis did to Jody. But
Oh, well, no. Sort of, but not. No, like you take your dead relative and you're like, look, in the name of my dead relative, I get baptized, so they can be LDS too.
got it. Okay.
And then for the female ancestors, they also have to be married. So in order to enter the higher levels of heaven as a woman, you have to be married to an LDS man who has been faithful and observant in his priesthood. And then for the highest, the people who have, done all of the super Mormon things, they will get their own level of heaven in which they can kind of become pseudo God. Look, I don't know. None of this made any sense to me. I try to read a bunch of books, but oddly enough, the LDS, Bible is full of books I've never read before.
Well,
because, they weren't my books. So yeah, so I don't know all the things, but I do know that there's different levels of heaven and there's different things that you have to do to achieve these different, higher godlinessnesses. I don't know.
do those levels of heaven have anything to do with like the 7 minutes in heaven?
Not that I was able to read, but could be that I didn't read the right things. I was actually going to the LDS, like the actual, Latter-day Saints sort of website, but I kept getting, like, every time I was looking at something, they kept popping up with like, would you like missionaries to come to your house and explain this? And I was like, no, I really don't. Like, not at all. Like, never.
Yeah.
Please don't.
And I purchased life insurance policies early in our marriage, and Charles had them issued to the maximum amount possible to each of us. The evidence will show that Charles was 17 years older than me, and that because of Charles' age and the issue that he had with high blood pressure, the maximum amount of life insurance that could be approved for Charles was $1 million. The maximum amount of life insurance that I could...
Okay, Vale, I know it's not good, and I don't consider myself to be a great person, but if I could have been a fly on the wall in the moment that Lori learns that Charles changed her beneficiary, or like her from the beneficiary of the $1 million life insurance thing, like if I could have been there for that meltdown, I just want to see it. Like, because I can just imagine how red her face got and how angry her eyebrows were. And she was probably like on the verge of actually saying the F word. And I'm over here like the Emperor Palpatine, like, yes, let the hate flow through you. Use the F word, Lori.
Yeah. Oh.
could be approved for because of my age and my health was $2 million. The evidence will show that throughout our 13-year marriage that we always had life insurance policies. When a 10-year policy lapsed, Charles would shop for another company who would approve us for the maximum amount of life insurance. The evidence will show that this was Charles' job. This is what he did. I helped him in this business, and this is what he did. The evidence will show that in 2016, Charles repurchased a new $2 million life insurance policy on me, and he was the sole beneficiary.
So what you're saying is in Game of Thrones, Charles should have moved first.
Oh.
I mean, and it's not uncommon for Now it is a little uncommon, and I find it weird that Lori, as not the main breadwinner, would get a policy for double the amount of Charles, other than the fact that we know she's a raging narcissist. But Mr. Mo has a good deal more life insurance than I do, not because I'm less important, but because my semi-profitable hobby right now is keeping us in wigs, not really paying a lot of the bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do find that weird. I wonder if, that was something that Charles insisted on because he does know insurance, or if that was something that Lori insisted on.
I don't know. Like, and I've never understood this argument, like that she's preparing to make, because like I have not listened to this, but I can see where she's going with this already. And I've never
Well, yeah,
understood this argument.
she's
Like,
not a great storyteller. Every single her speech reads like, when you're in your first learning how to make paragraphs and your teacher explains to you, it's like it's the topic sentence, then 3 sentences explaining that or expanding on it, and then a conclusion, sentence.
mhm.
So it's like, this paragraph is about thunderstorms. 3 things about thunderstorms are: thunderstorms are loud, period. Thunderstorms can be scary, period. I do not like thunderstorms, period. These are some facts about thunderstorms. So, again, she did not watch enough of Law and Crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
The evidence will show that Charles and I had a happy marriage for 13 years.
Was he in charge?
That he was, in fact, a baseball player, and that he played high school, college ball, and AAA ball, and that he was, in fact, a left-handed pitcher, a southpaw, they call him. But he was.
What does this have to do with Charles ending up dead because your brother shot him?
Yeah, I have questions.
I mean, I'm not trying to be thick here, but I am a whole lot confused as to, the, excuse me, Southpaw. That being
Yeah.
said, it
Maybe.
does kind of mess up the whole, so the whole kind of gist of this story is that Charles, the, AAA, the college, high school, and then AAA baseball player,
Mhm.
threatened Lori's brother with a bat, actually swung at his head. Now,
Mhm.
Alex Cox had a very small, little itty bitty boo boo on the back of his head. So you're
Mhm.
telling me that even a man in his, mid 50s, maybe high blood pressure, his body forgets how to swing for the fences?
Mhm. No. I
No.
don't think that's how that works.
Not to mention, this is the brother of your crazy ass, soon to be ex-wife who stole like 20K from you, left the house for 2 months, didn't tell you where the flip flap shack she was, left you with your son that you both adopted, and cleaned out some of your business accounts. Like, if anyone's gonna swing, Field of Dreams is on, on loop at his house, is gonna be this dude, okay? I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I mean,
A right-handed batter, as could be attested to by anybody who knew Charles well and his high school baseball coach, Greg Davis. The evidence will show that Tylee was, and in 2014, our family moved from Chandler, Arizona to Kauai, Hawaii. We lived there for 3.5 years and returned to Chandler in 2017. The evidence will show that Tylee was 3 years old when Charles and I got married, and that when she became a teenager, the relationship between Tylee and her stepfather, Charles, became so difficult that Tylee and Charles had to seek a therapist, a family therapist, to stop them from fighting. The evidence will show that together, Charles and Tylee met with this therapist after we moved back to the mainland in 2017. The evidence.
So what we're hearing is that a teenage daughter who had, and Lori leaves out this part. Tylee had just learned that her father died, and Lori kind of kept this from her, even mentioned in front of Tylee that, the world was a better place without, her father in it. So
Yeah.
it's not just that, Charles maybe was finding it difficult as a step parent to know, what the rules and what the blended family thing was going to go on. It was because he's been in Tylee's life since she was 3 from
Yeah.
her, stuff. So the problem is that by that time, even if he's not in name, your dad, you still, as a kid, start to think of it, at least in that figure space.
Yeah.
So she conveniently leaves out that she kind of like trashed, the shit out of her dad after she'd just found out that he'd passed away, and she'd kept this information, from all of the family.
Yeah. I was gonna say I do remember that part that she forgot or she
Yeah.
left all that stuff out and didn't tell.
Yeah, Crystal. No, I don't think I don't have any hate. I don't think you're wrong. I think that the state's case was a lot of innuendo. Um, I haven't seen the whole trial. This is actually the first bit of it I have, but it's never going to be as strong because you have basically, a story coming from Lori Vallow, and then Alex Cox is dead. So you have basically what Lori says, some of the body cam with Charles Vallow when he was alive, telling all this crazy shit that Lori was saying. And then you have the forensics, but it's really, really confusing. Like, nothing in Lori's early life leads you to believe that she is going to have this kind of split from reality.
Yeah, like that makes sense. That it wasn't
But
like there's no evidence of it.
yeah, because I
Prior
mean,
evidence.
it very much seems from everything I've looked up at this case, like Lori was kind of normal, kind of full on into prepping, which, having looked at the LDS faith, because of them constantly being kicked out of states for people not liking polygamy, there is a long held tradition of kind of prepping, of storage, of that kind of thing. Because I guess when they finally got to Utah, there was, I guess, one winter where barely anyone survived. So it became a foundational principle to kind of have like survival food, things like that. Uh, there's a big pantry. It was just a lot of weird stuff, but it makes sense when you look at it with historical kind of stuff. But if that's kind of normal for LDS, I never kind of understood where she got, like, who the hell looks at Chad? You know, God's answer for a human thumb and thinks, you can save me for the 4400th, sir. Like, ew. Ew.
Evidence will show that in April of 2018, Tylee's biological father passed away from a heart attack. And at that time, Charles called Social Security and made an appointment at the.
So here's the other weird thing, and why Tylee's father was kind of looked at with some suspicion for a while. Now, there were allegations against Tylee's father made by Lori's oldest son, Colby, about some abuse.
Yep.
Now, this was around the time that Lori was divorcing, Tylee's dad, and it seemed more like a custody thing because Tylee's dad had adopted Colby, or at least raised him as his own child. It seemed like it was all going fairly well until they got divorced, and then Joe Ryan, was a bad guy. Alex Cox was actually in jail for tasing and assaulting him after I think he was leaving a a family custody hearing. So there was some suspicion that this might have been nefarious, but unfortunately, Joe Ryan wasn't found until he was basically decomposed.
Mm.
So there was no way to test, but it has always been one of those kind of hazy things, especially when Lori didn't tell his family. Basically, it wasn't until like, I think a year or some months later that Lori just made an offhand comment like, oh yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he's not coming back. So it's just all the weird.
Yeah, that seems strange. To say the least.
I mean, it's just like not normal.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess
Letitia Stalk named. That was the other thing. Letitia Stalk got her daughter Harley a dog and named it the dead dad's name because Harley's father had passed away. Of course, she told Harley that like some ridiculous story of how her dad died instead of the real story.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, moms, stop being flippin' psycho, okay? like middle school is hard enough. Imagine having Lori Vallow as your mom. Jesus.
And
Give me a headgear any day. Yeah.
The Social Security
I'm
Office.
object to hearsay.
Sustain.
Lori's like, quick, what is hearsay? Sounds like a lawyer word I should know.
But I'm not a lawyer.
But I have these red glasses. Never mind. I'll just brazen my way through this.
Yeah. Like most people who defend themselves.
I mean, it is probably the, most pick path of you choose your own sovereign citizen adventure books. I'll just twing it.
Yeah. Not wrong at all.
It will show that we did get Social Security for Tylee for her deceased father until she was 18 years old, and she was 15 years old at the time. The evidence will show that Charles and Tylee's fighting increased greatly in January of 2019 when Charles and I temporarily separated. The evidence will show that
temporarily separated, like you stole $20K from his business account, went and took your daughter Tylee to a Hawaiian, resort, and basically fucked on and off for 2 months. I mean, I guess it's a separation. Okay.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, but if she's LDS I guess it's only the men who can have multiple wives, right? So
yeah,
never mind.
They tend to frown on brother husbands.
Well,
and I mean, look, it sounds real smexy. I mean, you get into Kindle Unlimited and you're thinking a reverse harem, like 2 guys with a 6-pack that adore me. That's how they get you, ladies, because then I want you to think about re-fucking-ality. 2 men with men flu, 2 men that can't find the goddamn laundry basket, and 2 men that are going to look at you like dumb-ass little like weirdos when you're like, you have a hormonal thing. So ideally, the best relationship would be with 2 straight people and 1 bi person. I have decided. No, think about it. So you get a you get a gay man who can be like your wife's emotional support human on the days that she just has too many emotions. Look, I'm trying to think through this. For things, and I just think that Mr. Mo would need some help with like a man that can understand like man brain and woman brain. Like we need like a conversion person that can take what I say in crazy hysterical woman and then convert it to man, and then he can say we just need Chat GPT. That's what we need.
Chat GPT
well, I don't know the
for
milieu
women.
of lesbian relationships. I don't want to assume y'all have the problems that straight relationships have, so I've been excluding you because I've never been a lesbian yet. And I feel like it's presumptuous to speak on people I'm not. I'm a good ally. I don't speak about stuff I don't know about.
I was gonna say the yet. The yet kind of slipped in there.
I was joking, but I figured. I figure, because let's be real, I don't do like emotions well. So I'd be the dude in a lesbian relationship because I'm like, this is too many emotions. Let's logic this out. And I can't handle that responsibility. So I do think that precludes me also because I tend to I'm just attracted to men. Both of those kind of preclude me from any future lesbianism, but as I never rule anything out, you know, there you go. It's like the Marvel multiverse. Look, I'm never going to rule out, them actually going back to making movies that are fun. It just never seems likely, but I'm never going to rule it out completely.
I would.
Well, I mean, it's an analogy. I have more faith in Twinkies and cockroaches, mating and becoming the next sentient species of the earth than I do for Marvel creating, good movies.
Did you say Twinkies and cockroaches?
Yes. Vale, follow my logic here. And no, I'm not high, but I have thought about this a lot. What are the only two things that are going to be left after India and Pakistan go at it, thereby, nuking the entire earth? Twinkies and cockroaches. Now, because there's going to be a lot of radiation, there is going to be some genetic, shift over. So it's going to be a Twinkie roach or a cockatwink. I haven't quite thought it out yet. Welcome, Raiders. So yes, I have given thought to this. I haven't quite figured out the name yet, obviously, but I'm not going to be around when they decide to name themselves, and how dare I take their names from them? I mean, maybe just Twinkies, and here I am.
Oh Lord. and this is how the Simpsons start.
Pretty much.
Because then they're all gonna grow up to the Twinkie, the
yeah, no,
cock twinks.
It's not one of my greatest, Moisms. Some land, some don't. Not everything's gonna be the Hindenburg, but it will go down in flames.
Oh dear.
It is. So the weird thing is that my brain to me is normal. So like when I spend 3 hours working to create a sculpture of Hank Brennan for science in a puppet, that seems totally normal to me. And then Mr. Mo looks like he wants to put me in a very nice hug jacket. So
yeah. Oh.
But there you go. So the day in the life of Mo's brain would just be like a normal walk for me, but I'm afraid of what it would do to normal people. You're just never the same.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there could be some definite repercussions of that if we all got to spend a day in Mo brain.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of just random thoughts and, making up songs about true crime, which they're never appropriate, but they're always catchy. So like Lump, only it was for the Linda Sturmer trials. So it's like, it's Lump, It's Lump. It's Lump. And Todd is dead. And I'm over here just like singing the hell out of it as I'm driving down the street. And I'm like, this could be considered in poor taste.
No. not at all.
Not at all. Why would we?
Hmm.
And then I was like, yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah, nobody needs to know. It's all right. It's all good.
Several people witnessed these terrible arguments between Tylee and Charles that increased to physical in 2019. Charles and Tylee had major increasing arguments, 2 in February of 2019, 1 of March in 2019, which was captured on video, 1 in May of 2019, 1 in June of 2019, and then the worst of all in July 2019. The evidence will show that in March of 2019, Charles pulled JJ out of his special school and moved him to Houston.
I love chat because if anything, they're like, no, Mo, this isn't bad. These should be the lyrics. And I'm like, yes. True Crime, the musical, will be, coming out in the next couple years. Expected to get a Razzie or 2. But it will still be better and less, of an assault to all the senses and God than Cats. So, it's there you go.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I mean, it's not a high, hurdle to get over, but it still is an achievement.
Yeah, and I see the tub thumping. I got burned up. Got up again just to get run over by a van.
Okay, Cats was. If you liked it, I'm glad you liked it, but to me, it was incredibly freaky.
Yeah, but isn't she British?
Fair. You know what's funny is I always thought that I'd be a great princess to one of the princes, but my mom was like, "You're a divorcee and an American." Can you imagine this many years later, I'm actually not the worst American divorcee that he could have married?
That wasn't a slight at you, princess, about being British. It was more. Oh, they'd say it was more at the British, not you.
And welcome, Ryan Morgan Thompson, or Thomas. Sorry. I love when I'm like read, and hooked on phonics. Let's just make up words.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with making up words.
Well, except when you've actually read the correct word and your brain says correct word, but your mouth says whatever the hell it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to me often. Sometimes I can't say words, so hey.
I understand.
Oh.
In Texas while we were temporarily separated. Tylee and I then joined Charles and JJ in Texas in April 2019 to reconcile. The evidence will show that JJ was diagnosed with severe autism when he was 3 years old.
Now, here's the other thing. Severe and with early childhood interventions, from what I have researched in this case, Charles and Lori at that time were incredibly good at, getting him into enrichment and with the service animal and different things. So while he did have autism, I don't think it's as severe as she is kind of leading on. He wasn't nonverbal. He wasn't, incapacitated. He didn't have also physical delays that I am aware of. So also where is Will Smith? Like, where is Will Smith to use his powers of slapology in, like, the best and human way possible? Like, get those kids' name out your mouth, ma'am.
Oh my god, I was reminded of that whole thing the other day because tangent time. So y'all remember when Dave Chappelle got
Yes.
attacked on stage? And so
Yes.
and then he gets up and realizes that he's bigger than him or whatever and starts fighting back. And then of course he gets jumped by all these people and they like basically whoop his ass
They
off
F
stage.
him up.
But then
I mean, his arm was all the way not frontward. He looked like he had been in a fight with Vecna from Stranger Things. I was like, "Oh, damn."
but I guess what happened immediately after that is so like Dave Chappelle's up there trying to figure out how he's gonna like explain this away, and he's like show's going on, and he's trying to like come up with a joke. Chris Rock comes out from the back, and he grabs the mic, and he's like, "Was that Will Smith?"
See, I'm telling you, sometimes it's just divine things. Like I don't even, and that's what you need comedians, but for because they just get that and they have that timing, and it's like, bam.
Yeah,
Well,
but yeah, I had not heard that part of the story before, and I was just like, "That's so funny."
I feel so bad for Chris Rock, but again, Will Smith, could you use your powers of, aggression toward all females except for your one cunty wife? Like, like
Oh,
of all the people to be aggressive towards, the one woman who's like destroyed you, no, I love her.
oh, yeah. Well,
I'm like, the heifer talked about how she had to have a relationship with her son's like bestie because reasons.
yeah. Well, to each their own, I suppose. I guess if that's what you're into,
I mean,
so be
yeah,
it. But have fun.
yeah, good luck with that, sir.
Yeah.
Also, what the hell did you do to your children? Like, not a judgment question, but what the fuck, dude? Like, your son walks out wearing a velvet house and your daughter wears like a jade tooth so it looks like she ate spinach. I mean, at some point, you got to ask yourself, where did I go wrong?
Yeah, but you may not ask yourself that question if you're okay with your wife banging your son's friends. So,
Fair point. You might have a different level of okayness with things.
yeah, exactly. He's like, you know what? I've seen worse.
I mean, we do true crime, so Taylor's business is kind of like the worst you can go. So anything above that is really like, I can live with it.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
While we lived in Hawaii. The evidence will show that for 2 years, JJ was attending a school in Gilbert, Arizona, a special school for children with autism. It's called Lauren's Life Academy. The evidence will show that in June of 2019, in JJ's best interest, Tylee, JJ, and I moved back to Chandler, Arizona to re-enroll JJ back in Lauren's Life Academy since he had a difficult time with the Houston, Texas schools with no services for his autism. The evidence will show that Charles and
Now, I mean, I know Texas is in Arizona, but being that Texas at that point still was under the jurisdiction of the Department of Education, which does enforce like IEPs and special needs and all of those things. No, Texas schools are not bereft of services for children with autism. Now, it's not a private school that focuses its entire curricula and teaching style to autism, which is why you should have stayed in Arizona. And I have never actually endorsed anyone staying in Arizona.
I haven't either, for the record, because I moved out of there after 2 years.
Okay, don't bullshit me. Is it true? Like, is it the dry heat? Does 120 just feel like 90 or 70 because it's just dry?
Okay, let me clarify something for y'all people who are curious about the whole dry heat, wet heat thing. Okay.
No, I'm really effing not. But every time I say something bad about Arizona, it's a dry heat. I'm like, so is hell, but doesn't mean I'm gonna take a summer vacation there too.
I've lived in the Midwest with lots of cornfields. I've lived in Tennessee where it's humid there too. And I've also lived in Arizona where it's hot. And yes, you can feel a difference, but I can tell you that 90 degrees and 100% humidity in either Tennessee or the Midwest, or 108 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona, it stops mattering because it's just hot. It doesn't matter anymore because
Yeah,
it's just too damn hot for a penguin to be outside.
yeah, that's pretty much my entire thought process is just like, I don't care if it's a hot heat, a moist heat, a heat lightly spiced with vinaigrette. I don't care. It's still just hot. I'm still gonna get that like boob sweat, like just feeling, and that little trickle, because there's always that one that's like straight from spine to butt crack. And
Yeah.
you could have just got out of the shower, like just powdered off, just went sure and from unsure, and then you walk out and it's like, well, fuck, what did I why? Just why? No. I am
But
surprised that it is not the murder capital of America, because look, hot people are angry people. Change my mind.
but I can also tell you that living in moist, hot places like Tennessee in the Midwest, right? My shoes never melted. They did in Phoenix.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I'm just no. And I am sorry to hear that, Gregory. I'm glad that you are feeling better, but oh, good Lord. Yeah, no. And this woman, they didn't have any autism in Texas because, Texas. They only teach about cows over there.
I mean, I would be disappointed in who's the governor that's in a wheelchair?
Greg Abbott.
That
Well,
guy.
I mean,
I'd be disappointed.
if there's not like reading, writing, arithmetic, and then cowology, I'm gonna be really upset because I mean, I just assume like you go there, your first day in kindergarten, you're fitted for your first, cowboy hat. And then, when you graduate elementary school, you get your first belt buckle.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's just what I assume as, a not Texan. I just
mean,
assume everything's celebrated with steak.
yeah.
I could be wrong.
I mean, isn't that normal? Like, I do that. Like, I'm gonna have steak tonight.
Oh, so I feel like such a butthole. So Mr. Mo and I, we didn't get to celebrate our anniversary because our anniversary is our actual anniversary is on the day that my middle son was born. So we rarely celebrate. And we'd been hearing about this steakhouse. Now it was a bit more pricey, and Mr. Mo was like, let's just go there tonight since we didn't go to our anniversary. And I was like, okay. And I had done this dumb thing where I know that this doesn't sound like a normal thing, but for some of us with ADHD, we genuinely push off eating. We forget about eating or get busy with stuff that we don't eat. So I've gotten to that point where I was like starving. And we get there and they had something that they called onion beef soup. But it had all of the ingredients of French onion soup, which is like my jam. Because like soup, a carb, and like cheese. I mean, this is the perfect food group. So I get it, and it is like the weakest broth I've ever had, with like this sad little like piece of bread and like just a couple little like floating things of cheese. And when you've got like how you make things going and then this, and it was an expensive place, so I was already irritated, and then it was taking forever.
Yeah.
And suddenly out of nowhere, at least for my body, you get to the point where you haven't eaten, where your body's like, "Oh, well, maybe we're just, we're just gonna get sick now." And I was like, "No, no, we're not. No, no, our baked potato is coming out. You don't understand. Just wait 5 more minutes. Like, we have a baked potato and steak coming out. Like, be good." So I'm over here, like, trying to breathe through it and listen to Mr. Mo and be attentive and romantical, all while, like, my brain is like, Stomach, if you don't shut the hell up, like, don't make me come down there." And so I'm over here and, like, Mr. Mo is just seeing me get, like, just increasingly paler and sicker looking, and I'm over here, like, trying to just, like, it'll be cool, like, I'm just gonna eat this potato, and my body is like, "Oh, no, heifer, we gave you a warning, like, 10 minutes ago. Now we can't let you eat." And I'm like, so
Yeah.
I made a giant vat of my own bacon French onion soup
hmm
for Mr. Mo, and there's only, like, 1 bowl left, and I'm like, "Oh, for the love of."
Hey, I learned a difficult lesson this week with cooking actually. So I've been eating bison a lot. And so I got
Ooh.
these I got these bison steaks, and you have to cook it very differently than you cook beef.
Oh, I was
Uh
wondering about that when you said you got a bunch of bison. I was like, I wonder if that's, like, you just cook it like beef or if it's got different, like,
mhm.
fat content or
Oh,
stuff.
it's very different. It's also more dense as well. But like you
Oh,
can cook the ground stuff like just like, beef or whatever, but like cooking the steak though, oh no. Like it is an art as to how to
oh.
get it right, because like you have to cook it low and slow. Like it's so challenging to do it that it's been a bit frustrating this week. But
I
when you get it right, it's really good.
I may have desecrated a couple briskets on I still have 1 brisket in the freezer, but I'm still so, uh, you know, like, I need to watch all the videos so I can understand how to make this and what I did wrong, 'cause they're so expensive. Like, I found a great deal, so I got, like, 3 for $70,
Oh wow.
but but I killed the first 2, so I want to do better.
Well, it's a learning process, right? Like I
Yes.
just wish it wasn't such an expensive learning
I
process.
know. Damn it.
um, yeah, at whatever it was per steak, it's a little pricey.
You're like,
um,
"Damn it." So you still eat it even though it's a hockey puck? You're like, "I look what it was $80." Now it's jerky. You're just
yeah, like well, and that's the funny thing. Like if you're one of those people who likes your steak well done, like you don't eat bison. Don't even bother, because like it's not worth it. Because like I don't. I thought that I did, but I don't like it that way. And then like I did overcook the first one, uh, and it's not good.
No, I will say that I like the taste of rare, but I can't look at look, I am a pariah among steak people. I have to do well just because if it's pink, it throws me over. I don't eat salmon for the same reason. I don't know why, but if it's just a texture thing for me. I get that it's supposed to taste better with not as cooked, but
hmm
for me, that just looks like someone's gonna get, a parasite. Like, my brain just cannot get over the fact that it's still bleeding. I'm like, "Nope, I'm out. I'm out."
Yeah, I get it. I used to be like that too, but like the thing
I I would
with
suck at Fear Factor. Like, I'd be all good with no, I wouldn't be good at anything in Fear Factor. They'd be like,
So-
"And you're just gonna have to sit with snakes." No. And then they're like, "Okay, you just have to eat a testicle." No. And they're like, "Oh, well, you just have to jump out of an airplane." I thought this was The Bachelorette.
Yeah. It's yeah, that some of that stuff's too much for me. Like I don't I can't, yeah. Like I'm not
No,
eating
that's what
bull
Mr. Mo,
testicles and no.
we've gotten into watching like these travel food, like street food things. And I have come to realize I have the palate of a hyper picky 4-year-old.
Mhm.
So he's looking at all these things like, oh, there's peppers and there's this. And I'm like, oh, and they mixed it all together. Well, it was looking good until they mixed it all together.
That's funny. Like, yeah, it's I get it though, because like through something else I discovered this week is so like I haven't had a gallbladder for 20 something years, right? And it's caused me a lot of grief in my adult life. And I discovered this week, which I'm a little pissed off at the doctor who took it out because he probably should have told me this but didn't, is that there's an enzyme that you can buy to help you digest food. And because people who don't have gallbladders have a hard
Oh.
time digesting protein and fat. And I was like, no way. And I discovered it, and I feel like I'm a different person now. And
Oh,
it's like,
well, that's
how
cool.
come nobody told me about this when they took the stupid thing out?
Yeah, it's so funny the things that no one tells you about adulthood, and then you're like, why? Like, I am learning things about menopause that have terrified me. Like, so when I am Empress, I know we have gotten completely off of Lori Vallow, but look, I have been all week with freaking Karen Reed and 2 damn days with Jen McCabe.
Oh
Look,
God.
I just anywho, when I am Empress of the universe, because there were things that have been kept from us about menopause. Because, ladies, did you know you lose like one set, like lips, lower lips, gone forever? Like you get a beard and apparently you lose one of your, quad folds in your billfold. Like, who? I didn't know this shit. I get a book and what? What the what? No. So
That's
I am instituting a, yearly attendance, freaking, those uncomfortable assemblies you had when you were in puberty. No, we're bringing those back for middle-aged women so we know what the hell to expect. Because I'm about done with this crap.
yeah. And Tammy asked what it is. It's called if you go to Amazon, if you look for Now, that's the brand Now. It's called Super Enzymes. And it helps you digest stuff. And it does work. Like I see somebody says that it doesn't work. Look, I haven't had a gallbladder for over 20 years. It works. I'm telling you, it works.
Well, and it might work for you and it might not work for, and always ask your doctor because
True, yeah.
with any of
Definitely
these
say that.
things, it might interact with medication you're already on. But
Yeah.
it should be, like don't take medical advice from Vale and I.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that because and for the record, I don't take any medications, so like I don't have to worry about stuff. I just try all kinds of random crap. Literally, I have an entire cabinet full of supplements, not actually even joking, that I take all kinds of stuff. So, yes.
So it's just be sure to talk to your doctor if you are on like medication for like long-term things because some of those supplements can interact with those. And if you don't tell them, then you start feeling all wonky.
Yeah, but definitely ask your doctor first, Tammy. But that's what it's called, and it's done wonders for me all week long. So, yeah.
All right, let's
I
get back
guess-
there.
it was in JJ's best interest to be in school where more services were available to him. So Charles and I rented a house here in Chandler. On the day in question, July 11th, 2019, Charles and I were renting 2 houses. one in Houston, Texas, where he
I love how she says Charles and I, like she was working at the time, because she was not. She had kind of transitioned to full-time mom taking care of JJ, because having even a high functioning special needs child, there's a lot more doctor's appointments
Yeah.
and things like that. So
I
I
thought
love
this
how
was the
she's
part
like,
where she started transitioning into crazy.
well, that's what she's going to allege. So she's going to allege that he came into the house, he was acting aggressive. Tylee came at him with a bat. He took the bat from Tylee, then he assaulted, Alex Cox, and then Alex. So here's the part of the story that's dumb if you think about it from a self-defense aspect. So you've got Charles already with a bat. He's already hit, allegedly, Alex Cox. Now,
Mhm.
for some reason, being the kind and sporting, gentleman that he is, Charles allows Alex to retreat to his room to get his force multiplier, then continues to wait and not follow him as he goes to retrieve this, deadly weapon, kind of in like standing, Mortal Kombat mode, like waiting
Yeah.
as
Choosing your
he comes
fighter.
back. Yeah, as he comes back and then, allows himself to, kindly get shot in the chest and back.
I
Now,
mean,
I
X the
mean,
doubt.
yeah, it's not if I saw that on like a Hollywood movie, I'd be like, this is so dumb. This is too dumb to even
Dumb.
keep me invested in this show.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a level of things that I'm willing to suspend disbelief for, but there are other things that I'm not willing to suspend disbelief for.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, so I know you aren't big on the Karen Reed case, but here is the problem with Jen McCabe's testimony. So you either have to believe a couple different scenarios. So Jen has been telling the same story this entire time, but everyone from the police to the grand jury to the feds to everyone else has misunderstood her words and written them down completely incorrect. Or Jen has been telling the same story and the, Canton police officers are corrupt. Or that the Canton police officers suck and Jen McCabe is a liar. But
Mm.
of all of these variables, the one that doesn't seem to add up at all is that Jen McCabe has been telling the same story, and everyone from the feds to the cops to, well, the people that framed OJ got together to, make it so they put down completely wrong statements.
Um, yeah. I there the reason that I can't do the Karen Reed thing is because there are too many people on either side who are,
Yeah.
FKR or whatever, or who think that she didn't do anything, who have way too strong of opinions, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them don't actually know the evidence. And
Well,
it's like,
yeah.
I want to hear what they have to say. I mean, I think there's a lot of fishy things going on, and my default position is always don't trust the state.
Well, and that's how I basically have started this because, again, there was a great and eloquent, and I love that I go to South Park, but there is a great and eloquent South Park episode about, people that believe 9/11 was a conspiracy brought on by the government.
Yeah.
And, the entire thing is the government's too dumb to be in charge of anything like a grand conspiracy.
Yeah. I mean,
So while
but
but the thing is you can boil it down to a terrible, terrible investigation.
yeah.
Now, and I don't need to know the reasons behind the terrible investigation to be able to say it's a terrible investigation.
Yeah, exactly.
I And I am kind of confused with, like, are you allowed to drive sober in Canton? I have yet to figure out if you have to be, like, somewhat tipsy in order to just drive there.
I mean, it's Massachusetts, so I think it's a requirement. But
State of Massachusetts, I guess I'd always be boned.
yeah, that's what she said.
Well, I
But
mean, if you're getting screwed by the government, you might as well be drunk while doing it.
exactly. But it's
Massachusetts' new state motto when I'm a president. Look, we're drunk and surly because we're getting, well, assaulted by the tax man.
but this is like my position, and this has been my position since 1994 when the juice got loose. Is that like, even if you did it, but it was a terrible investigation, and you have bad facts, then cool, bro. You get off. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, so I don't know if the woman did it or not, but it sounds to me like the state has bad facts.
Yeah, it's just, this could be a simple trial. Again, I would never, if you had given me the Rittenhouse case, the Jose Ibarra case, and then the Karen Reed case, which one would I think would have, like, people threatening to swat each other? Not the Karen Reed case.
Yeah. Like, her name is Karen. I'm just kidding.
Well, okay, let's be real. Like, none of the women from Canton look soft and fluffy, okay? Like,
yeah.
none of them.
Yeah.
They all look like, okay,
they,
I'm sorry, KLF, I haven't met you. I mean, from in the trial. I haven't met everyone from Boston. I'm sure there are lovely people there, just not on display in the trial.
and to be perfectly trying to be nice, she has the worst resting bitch face I've ever seen.
She has a very severe face, which is why I don't understand why they didn't tell her. Look, I get it's not the defendant's, job to, but optically to have softened around her face. And hey, Jen, sweetie, as a former theater kid, if you're going to lighten around your face, if you're going to put blonde highlights in, you cannot use the same tones of bronzer and foundation that you used when you were brunette. It looks way too severe. You softened up your hair and then your face looks harsher because you were continuing to wear, really more brunette like stuff on your face.
I know nothing about what you're talking about. I have no opinion here.
If you want to soften your look, a lot of women will put lighter pieces toward the front of their face. It's
okay.
And if you do that and you say you had really dark hair beforehand, you can get away with darker contour, darker blush and stuff when you have darker hair because it doesn't look so different. But if you lighten your hair and you continue to wear the same sort of colors you favored when you had darker hair, it can be more jarring.
Okay. That what you're saying makes sense because I understand.
My foundation is always light and natural, so I don't know what you're talking about, bitch. Okay.
I mean, I don't wear makeup, but I understand basic color theory. So I guess what you're saying, like, it makes sense. I guess I just never thought of it that way. I guess. So,
like, as a weirdo theater kid who now gets to indulge in wigs, when makeup goes on sale, I buy like a couple shades variant of close to my shade, but it can be darker or lighter depending on what wig I wear. Because like with my skin tone, if I wear what I normally wear with a really dark wig, I look like Elvira.
Okay. So, yeah. That is kind of a specific look. The goth look.
Vielhammer's like, yeah, I'm glad I got to RuPaul's section of this legal Shenanigans Theater. Thank you, Mo.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. Like, the whole like the way that women can change the way that they look entirely just
Yeah.
based on like a couple shades of something and a dabby dabby here and a dabby dabby there. Like, it's fascinating, but
Okay,
it's a world I
fascinating,
don't
but
want to
it's weird as
understand.
shit when you confuse yourself when you look at a mirror and forget you're wearing a wig. And you're like, "Who the shit is that?" And then you're like, "Oh, it's me. Oh, okay, yeah, that's still me. Gotcha. Good."
Yeah.
I'm like one of those dogs growling at the mirror like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's me. Okay, never mind."
See, I can relate to that because the last time that I shaved my beard off, I would catch a look in the mirror of, like, as I was walking by her, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I would like startle myself because I hadn't seen my face in so long.
So it is funny
Uh,
because I'll do that even though I'm the one that put the wig on, like, actively did it to myself. So it always just tickles me. I love it that the teachers at my son's school, because it's a private school, they always have to look at my car because they never know what I'm gonna look like.
uh,
They're like, "We never know if it's gonna be you or you're, like, doing something weird with your hair."
yeah, that's funny.
He mainly resided, and one in Chandler, Arizona, where I resided with our 2 minor children, Tylee and JJ. By this time, our 3 older boys, Colby, Cole, and Zach, were adults and not living at home.
Also, this bitch, keep Charles's son's name out your mouth, heifer, because not only uh does, she unalive their dad, but basically takes all of their inheritance up to and including, I guess, Charles Vallow had a really nice, like, fancy watch collection that he had promised, maybe not in writing, but verbally to his sons. And she sent it, they couldn't get a hold of her, couldn't get a hold of her. And then they kept asking about, hey, what about dad's watches? And she finally sent him like Casio watches from like Walmart.
Hey, if there is a lesson to be learned here, it's put it in writing. Because if it's not in
Well,
writing, never happened.
yeah, but it also is maybe not, don't be a heifer who, takes things that your husband had promised to his kids and steal them.
But Mo, we're talking about Lori. Lori.
And a spirit fleck, I will tell you, so wigs can be expensive. Rebel Gypsy is a good company and they are fairly inexpensive. They're good quality wigs for the expense. They're not human hair. Now, human hair luxury wigs, they're going to start at baseline probably 400. I don't have any of those because Mr. Mo is like $400 for a wig. He just doesn't understand human hair. I keep trying to explain it to him, but
I don't either, to be fair. That's
yeah,
because
to
I
be
haven't
fair, it
had
does
any for
kinda
a long
creep me out.
time.
It does kinda creep me out that, like, a bunch of people just got their heads shaved for me. But I get it, they just are easier to manage. So, what I will say is if you want to use one, if you wanted to invest in a good piece, there are wig makers that you can go to that will have the human hair. It's definitely an investment, but it's going to be a lot easier to style. It's gonna be better fitted. They actually will fit it to you and give you, especially if you have, maybe, like, not as a full head of like, all the scalp, they'll give you caps that are gonna be more comfortable. So, that's what I would recommend if you wanna go into it, because they're for comfort, if you wanna wear it, go to a shop and they can give you a lot more information. I'm just a weird theater kid who likes to not fry my hair, but they'll have a lot more, science-y stuff to tell you about the actual stuff you should look at.
I have
Some of 'em,
learned
like,
more about wigs and makeup from being here.
Vielhammer is like, I am going to tell all the guys at the office everything.
Home any longer. The evidence will show that during the months of June and July, that my husband, Charles Vallow, began to send me threatening text messages. These messages were seen by my sister Summer, and that worried her. The evidence will show that Charles insisted on flying into Phoenix on July 10th, as we've heard from the state. The evidence will show that I advised Charles that he could not stay with us at the Chandler house because he could not get along with Tylee, and I did not want them to get into another fight like they had 3 weeks prior. The evidence will show that it was ultimately decided between Charles and I on text messages that he would stay in a hotel because he traveled for business all the time and stayed in hotels all the time.
Okay, again, I don't care if he's staying at a hotel, at a Motel 6, at an Airbnb. I don't care if the evidence is going to show this. What you should be talking about and contrasting it in your case is how this is totally 100% self-defense and not you wanting to get an insurance payout.
Yeah, or that she didn't do it. That'd be another place to start. Or did she already admit that part?
Well, it wasn't even her, so they've got her on conspiracy because Alex is the one who admitted to killing Charles.
Right. Yes, that's right. I forgot that he was the one who actually pulled the...
Jung, I will probably watch the whole trial after the Karen Reed gets done. In the past, I was hoping to be able to do the Petty Express in the evenings after a full day of Karen Reed. And I realized that that was for someone who has a lot more energy and or access to whatever keeps Joe Rogan alive.
I can send you some of that. I have some.
I'm intrigued, but if you tell me I have to blend chicken with raw eggs and make that into a shake, I'm going to hard pass.
No.
Oh. But yes, I do plan on watching the whole trial. It will just probably be after Karen Reed, because I forgot how incredibly long Karen Reed days are.
and listening to people from Boston talk. Sorry. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. It kind of comforts me because my dad's from New Hampshire, so I'm used to, like, I saw it, or, you know, it's the law, or it's a car. So I'm used to that, but the women sound so severe. Like, my grandma was from New Hampshire, and she would say, like, oh my gosh, oh my Jeebus, it's in the car. You know, just things, and she sounded so soft and loving and like my grandma. And then these women sound like harpies from hell.
Maybe that's because they're all harpies from hell, because it seems like they're drunk all the time.
I know. Jung said, are you aware of the witness that people didn't know was going to be a witness, not a surprise witness, just unknown? No, I did. No, I tried to keep up with Lori Vallow, but I was doing the Linda Sturmer case, and I have to pick one crazy woman at a time to focus my energy on. I can't, I have to have like one main crazy chick. I can't have a bunch of crazy side chicks.
Huh. You don't say.
You know, I'm a true crime, monogamist. I pick my favorite and I focus on them until I'm done.
That's funny.
All the time. And that I would book it for him since I worked for him and booked all of his travel. The evidence will show that Charles did, in fact, fly into Phoenix on Wednesday, July 10th, and stayed in the hotel that I booked for him. The evidence will show that Charles paid to fly my brother Adam Cox into Phoenix from Kansas on the same day, Wednesday, July 10th, 2000.
Well, ma'am, if you had Charles's credit card and you paid for Alex with Charles's credit card, it doesn't, well, while it technically means that Charles paid for Alex to come in and unalive him, It actually means that that's a conspiracy if Charles in no way actually knew about it.
I mean, potato.
I do. You know what? This is probably the first lawyer kind of twisting of words and shading of facts that she's done, other than the evidence will show. My book report on the Call of the Wild. The Call of the Wild is about the wild and a dog. His name is not Wild. His name is Buck. He goes to Alaska. Like, this book reports and people who talk like this are the reason I got in so much trouble in high school. Because I didn't realize I had raging ADHD. So once I realized that there was no reason for my mind to remain engaged because this was going to be in no way intellectually stimulating or gratifying, I stopped paying attention.
Yeah. I didn't pay a lot of attention in school either.
Well, it just becomes background noise, and then I let my mind wander, and then I'm like, could all of this have just been an email? Like, honest to God, why do I have to be in a class with these morons?
Yeah.
I don't work well with others, that make speeches like this.
Yeah. Not wrong. I don't want to be partnered up with somebody in school.
The evidence will show that Charles planned.
Isn't that a son of a bitch? Like, I get that you're supposed to have to like work in teams and stuff, but if you already know that you're going to do all the work, like why they didn't just let us, like insideians, just work by ourselves? I mean,
yeah,
I don't get it. Because it ended up just me working by myself with a group of people who, sat there confused.
Yeah, and I guess my issue with the whole concept of that in school, at least, is like, yeah, but like if somebody else, like if I'm being graded in a quote unquote team and this person sucks, like that's your fault for putting me in a team. Like it's not like I did my part, but what if this person's stupid? I can't help that they're stupid.
Well, and conversely, like when we were in math class, I always felt bad for my partners. But I fully admitted I bring nothing like to the team. Like I can hold your calculator. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. Look, I tried to bench myself. The teacher said I couldn't. Okay. So we're stuck together. I am sorry.
Yeah.
To come to our Chandler home and pick up JJ and drive him to school on Thursday morning, July 11th, 2019. The evidence will also show you that Lauren's Life Academy opens its gates at 8:25 a.m. in the morning. And the evidence will show that Charles showed up at our Chandler residence around 7:30 in the rental car I booked for him on the morning of Thursday, July 11th, 2019. The evidence will show that Charles began texting with my brother, Adam Cox, before he entered.
Okay, we are halfway through her opening statement, and we have just now gotten to the crime part of her opening statement. She took tutelage from the last defense attorney that we covered in not getting to the damn point of anything.
Yeah, that seems to be in defense attorneys who or per se, I guess, who have clients with bad facts tend to not get to the point very quickly.
Or tend to do, remember, the Constitution exists. We live in America.
There's often a lot of constitutional references with attorneys who have bad facts. This is true.
True.
Our residence, and that Charles and Adam were discussing in their text communications that my other brother, Alex Cox, was at the residence. The evidence will show that on the morning of July.
Okay, so ma'am, you probably shouldn't put into your opening statement that your ex-husband or your soon-to-be ex-husband was so worried about the presence of your, well, former brother, that he was texting your other sane brother, trying to make sure what the hell your two crazy assholes were up to.
Wait,
It doesn't really help the whole "I'm innocent, we weren't doing a conspiracy."
so, okay, you just said something that confused me. So, homie who pulled the trigger, I thought that was her brother, but it was her former
Yeah.
brother?
Oh, well, he died.
Oh. Well, that helps. Okay, never mind then. I thought you
But
meant like
it is
something
confusing
happened.
because Alex Cox is the one that shot Charles, and Adam Cox is the, like, one who was like, "Yeah, she's Delulu, okay."
Oh, there are too many cocks in the story.
That's what she said. And
Thank you. Good night. I'll be here all week.
yeah, yep. We can't, we've reached the pinnacle. We cannot make this any better. We're done here, guys. That's a wrap. So again, if you know the case, which the jury doesn't, but if I'm a juror, I'm not going to bring up the fact that my husband is so worried about me, because remember, the state's gone prior to this explaining how worried Charles was, how she's showing erratic behavior, how she and Alex Cox were involved in all sorts of susness. And you now have Charles, texting your sane brother, like, what the hell are the two crazies doing? If I don't text you back, call the cops. Like, I don't remember verbatim if that's what it was, but basically that's the gist. Now,
Yeah.
if you're trying to say, I am not crazy, it was all Charles' fault, maybe don't like put in there that he's, already worried if you have like a plan of premeditation going.
Yeah. That's probably not a good idea.
Sorry, my son was Mr. Mo went to Walmart, and I have transitioned into 2 liters of pop instead of buying the 6-pack.
Mhm. I think the Pharaoh came in. I think is what happened.
Yeah, I'm trying
But
to
no,
not
you're good.
feral.
Yeah, you're good.
July 11th, that Tylee was asleep in her room and my brother Alex was asleep in the guest room. The evidence will show that when Charles entered the house, only JJ and I were awake. And
Now, again, the absolute like dumpster water behavior of, again, using your children whom you made no longer living, actively participated in their unalivement, if you will, and now you are using them as, posthumous witnesses of your innocence. It is just so grotesque.
Yeah, that's a bit monsterish. A bit.
And I love that she still has the little yarn ring on, so everyone knows that she's a dork belle. Like, ma'am, no one wants you.
Wait, is there like some weird symbology I didn't pick up on about yarn rings?
Well, she's not allowed to have a wedding ring, or I think she's not allowed to really, or she didn't have a wedding ring, but so she made herself like a wedding ring out of yarn, to stay faithful to Dork Belle.
What if it gets wet?
I mean, I don't think that they spray her down with holy water all the time.
But like, I don't know, that just seems like it would get gross.
Oh, it's a hair tie. Never, well, still just stupid. Again, ma'am, no one wants you. Like, no one is out here thirsting for, just a taste of Lori.
Not wrong.
It is, the hair tie is not needed.
Yeah, it's not selling it.
She's like, I remain faithful to Chad, my husband. I'm like, ew.
He's a weirdo.
Again, so the basic story that everyone has kind of said is Chad is this weird guy who does like these Left Behind books for Mormons. So if you're into like mainstream Christian, or you've probably heard of the Left Behind series, or it was pretty big in like Christian circles. It was all about people left behind after the rapture and the trials and tribulations. Look, I couldn't read them. There was not enough sex in them.
It was Tim LaHaye and something Jenkins.
Yeah, yeah. So I couldn't get into them. Also, they made Nicolas Cage movies with it, and I'm just like, no, fuck it. No, I'm out.
Oh, you mean Kirk Cameron?
Well, no, Kirk Cameron does all of the like, oh gosh, Fireproof and Facing.
Wait, Mo, are you telling me you don't know about the first two Left Behind movies that they did that featured Kirk Cameron?
I know this is going to be shocking, but I am not Shiite Christian enough to search out Bible Man and Kirk Cameron movies for fun.
Oh, Mo. If you
Now,
want to see...
would they be great on edibles? Because I think I could have a viewing party.
It could make it better. Because literally anything would make it better.
Tetris graphics here.
They're terrible movies. They're not done well. The acting is bad because Kirk Cameron is the only like real actor in them.
Oh god.
Like they're bad. They're really bad.
This makes me want to alternately watch them and not watch them at the same time.
Yeah. They're terrible.
So anyways, I guess Chad basically started his own publishing house because honestly, there wasn't like a big, market for the Mormon Left Behind series. So he had to self-publish, and he would go to like these little survival festivals and like preach and give his books out and such, or sell them. And now he had tried this line before, and for some reason it didn't work out, but on Lori it worked. So he caught an eye of Lori in her little leggings, and he was like, ooh, legs.
You want to soak?
Yeah. Which is just gross. Again, look, I am sure that every religion, I am just picking on LDS today, but LDS, you gotta admit, you have a lot of strange stuff. Like, you have the underpants, you have the, temple garments, you have the secret handshakes, there's just a lot of things I have questions about, okay? A woman you won't listen.
Yeah, and I guess maybe my more pressing question is, why is it that there are so many unalivers in the LDS?
Okay, so I have a theory, which shockingly enough, I have thought about this because like I've already told you, I thought about cockroaches and Twinkies becoming a sentient species. I mean, I think about things. It's what I do.
Okay.
So in the LDS faith, from what I've learned, and again, not an expertologist, don't come at me, it seems like there is a high sort of level of kind of prophetic knowledge being gifted to you by either visions or things like that. So this is sort of fairly commonplace. In fact, if you're a devout member, you should be getting these. You should, because your communication with the divine is so great. So if you have a religion that doesn't maybe have as many checks on, are these prophecies or are these me manifesting what I want to be the voice of God?
Yeah.
If you don't have those checks and balances, then, and your church is predisposed to have, Latter-day Saints. I mean, it gives you that expectation that, hey, maybe this person is a saint, if they're saying this and they can point scripturally to where it fits in. I mean, I just think that there's an interesting it's a more flexible structure with more sort of, emphasis on normal people becoming divine or getting divine in, kind of communication. So
Hmm.
if you're in a religion where that's not weird, it does kind of open up to, hey, I had this vision and I did this. You know, if you're already predisposed to that, then it's not a big leap to say, well, they have it wrong. I've been told the truth. I can point to this, this, and this.
Yeah, that I can see where you're going. And for some reason, it reminds me of Ace of Base because I saw the sign.
True. Best 90s song ever, other than Aqua.
Oh, you're leaving out Cotton Eye Joe. Hold on.
Oh, true. Well, and Crisscross.
Well, of course, because you have to jump.
Well, and I missed the bus, their other song.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
it's a
true.
thing I'll never, ever, ever, ever do again. I tried to wear my clothes backwards. Do you understand that a clumsy middle school girl with more of a behind than she thought she should, or than she thought she had? It is and maybe doesn't wear like the wide leg hip hop jeans that they were wearing.
Hmm.
It was not a look that one should ever try to imitate in, early 90s non-hip hop style jeans.
Yeah. I mean, you forget how convenient it is as a guy to go pee until you put your pants on backwards. And then it becomes a bit of a process. That's not much fun. Just
I can
saying.
imagine.
That was my experience with it.
Yeah, you never looked as cool as Chris or Cross did. You're like, damn. It could be that I was extremely pale and female and didn't have rhythm. There were a lot of things working against me in my Chris Cross, tribute band.
Yeah, and the thing is that it also did not make me want to jump either.
Yeah. Well, I attempted to, just not on beat. I was always willing to give it the good old college try.
Well, fortunately for me, you boys got rhythm, so.
Well, damn.
The evidence will show that after we put JJ in the rental car, that Charles came back into the residence to receive his phone, leaving JJ in the front seat of the rental car with the engine running. He was 7 years old. The evidence.
Okay, and
I mean, at least he left the car running.
I know. Do you guys remember a time where parents weren't, stupid and they could like leave you out in at an age of like 9 to 10, like if they had to run into Kroger, like they could just leave you listening to Bryan Adams because soft rock, with the windows slightly down and no one would have to call CPS because, parents, normal.
Yeah, I remember these times. And everything I do it for you.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, now technically the new regulations or the new recommendations are that kids cannot sit in the front passenger seat or shouldn't until they're at least 13. Now,
oh dear.
Well, no, they didn't. My mom didn't leave the car running, but she'd leave the key in there. We'd have the windows down so we could listen to the radio. I mean, it was the early 90s.
Yeah, like it's when it's so weird. Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people here remember what it was like growing up in the late 80s and early 90s. It was a different thing. It was a different time. You could just, you go wherever you want. Don't have to worry about getting snatched up off the street. It was a wonderful time.
I know. Or like I would just leave my mom a Post-it note like I'm going somewhere, and she couldn't Life 360 me and location share me with the family group text.
Yeah, it's like be home when well, for me, it was when they played taps at 5 o'clock because that's when the flag went down. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just it is funny that now, you can't, like, let your kids play out in your front yard without someone, "Excuse me, do you know your child was outside without your supervision?" Like, "Yes, that was the point. I was going to lock them, but I figured that would be cruel. So I just told them to play outside for a little bit."
yeah, it's so goofy the way that I don't know. Society's weird now.
Yeah.
Evidence will show that Charles began to scream at me when I refused to hand him his phone. The evidence
I would scream at you if you refused to hand me my phone.
Yeah.
I love that she's, like, indignant, like, "He screamed at me. Can you imagine?" I'm like, "Bitch, I would scream at you if you didn't give me my goddamn phone."
Yeah. I think probably most people would. I mean, I don't understand why people do stuff like that though. Like, that's going to make somebody mad. And now you're going to sit here and you're going to try to say, well, he was so mean because I took his phone away. I don't know.
Well, and Jung, I think there is a point to this. I think parents now, and a lot of it is maybe because we are anxious ourselves, but instead of giving the kids the courage to go be okay with, "Hey, you might fall down, you might get hurt, you might get stung by a bee." We're so afraid of letting them experience negative things that we don't give them the courage to, accept the cool things. Like, every good thing is gonna have, some parts of it that aren't great. Like, going outside, you can have a great day, but get a sunburn at the end. If we don't teach our kids to be resilient for the sunburn, well, wait a minute, I'm an inside cat. Look, be better than me. Endure the sunburns. But I think there is, a point to that. I think, you know, the world is scarier, but I think we've also really infantilized kids and people. Like, can't you be like 32 now and still be on, your parents' health insurance?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So, well, it's like I have anxiety, but my big thing for the last couple years has been, okay, let's sit in the discomfort. Like, because nearly everything, like, as I have explained to you guys, my comfort zone is my house and, like, my room. And if
Mhm.
from the miracles of, grocery delivery and Amazon, I never have to leave my house. But I make myself because I know that, it will make me anxious. Loud noises, all the people around, it can make me anxious, but it's also part of life. So you have to live in that discomfort sometimes.
Yeah. You have to do difficult things and challenge yourself. And I don't know if we do enough of that. And that's semi looking in the mirror here.
And that being said, I am not going to Arizona. So
Yeah.
like, there's sitting in discomfort and getting fourth degree sunburn, in fall. Just there are things that, I will
Yeah.
and won't do.
Yeah. Not wrong.
Okay,
And that's
Lori,
okay.
and all you had to do to avoid being here today was giving that man his phone back.
Hey. Maybe.
Maybe. It's like choose your own adventure
there-
book. I'd have
if-
been like, "Give him back his phone." And I'd be like, "Go to that page." And it'd be
The
like,
end.
"Oh, you still died of dysentery in Oregon Trail."
That was always the case. Good old Oregon Trail.
Yes, like, and, it never mattered in Oregon Trail. Like, what in the comments, if you're on Replay Crew, if you ever won Oregon Trail, I want to find the motherfucker who won, because there's only one. I'm pretty sure no one actually beat Oregon Trail.
I did.
I hate you. How the hell did you win? Because you try you have to go across rivers and you can never cross a river. You ford the river and your oxen always dies. And you can
It
never have the option of building a bridge.
it is definitely a crapshoot. You don't win a lot, but I have done it. It doesn't happen very often. I'll give you that, but it does happen.
Well, I feel like you should get a knighthood when I win like the empressness because I feel like of all the things to achieve, that's really a big one.
What would be the
Or
American knighthood?
the knighthood of Oregon Trail winners. Like the trail masters of Oregon Trail. Come on, look. Vielhammer, look. I'm going to be empress, but I'm also going to be a shit poster. And we already have the Gulf of America. I'm having the Knights of Oregon Trail, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't believe that Jung doesn't know that Oregon Trail was like a game back from like, and it was like on the school computers. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
the floppy
bougie of me.
disk, the 4-inch floppy. It was either Oregon Trail or Number Cruncher. After you got done doing your typing thing,
Yeah, and it was
or if your teacher was a sadist, Spell Cruncher because assholes.
yeah, the old 5.5-inch floppy or the 3 1/4 hard
Hard disk.
disk before like hard disks were a thing.
Yes. I remember we felt so like in the future when we went from the floppy to the hard disk, and it was like impressed upon us that this was new technology and we had to be very careful with it.
Yeah,
I think
it's
this is where my immense fear of computers happened. They ruined me as a child because it's like, "It's expensive, you're gonna break it." And I was like, "I believe you. I am not good at this stuff."
which is funny because like I had a computer since I was very young. I was probably like 3, 4 when I had a Commodore 64, and that was the old 5.5 floppy. And it's like I think those things are a little bit more delicate than the 3 1/4s, you know, because those are hard. Where the floppies, you know, floppy.
Yeah. Oh, the things that children today won't understand.
Yes, and brick phones and
They're like, "No, we just use MP4s." And I'm like, "What magic are you speaking of?"
yeah. Well, of course it was floppy on the inside.
We're all floppy on the inside.
Oh.
There are too many to count today. I don't think we've even like I was worried like, "Oh my gosh, it's only 17 minutes. Are we going to be able to stretch this 2 hours?" That should never be my worry.
Oh yeah. That's not 17 minutes, not a problem.
I love it. I was like, "I'm really worried. I don't know. Lori's talking fast." And then I was like, "Oh, that's right. It's Legal Shenanigans Theater. We're going to talk about, you know, the Dark Crystal, dinosaurs, and stuff."
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the 90s.
The 90s. Okay, so I didn't think that my son was really political, but circling back to the anniversary dinner, Mr. Mo got crab legs. And for the last couple years, you know, we used to do like twice a year, we do like a crab boil and do that. But with, you know, food getting so expensive for a big family, that's like a big chunk of our, you know, grocery money
Mhm.
for that. So we'll do it like for New Year's, but we used to do it more when it was less expensive.
Yeah.
So my son comes up to me after, you know, stealing some of the crab, you know, like leftovers. And he was like, "Who did you vote for?" And I was like, 9-year-old, I'm not going to have this conversation. Go get dressed for school. And he's like, well, I need to know who is the manager of the government. And I was like, well, the president. He's like, did you vote for Trump? And I was like, where are we going with this, kid? I'm not going to have a political talk with you. And he's like, well, did he promise? He's been like president for like ever, and crab is still expensive. It's a travesty. I'm going to the manager because he kept saying that he was going to bring things down, and this is against, the rules. I voted, and I was like, you didn't vote. He's like, well, someone voted, and we don't get more crab.
It's funny that kids are like that observant, and
yes. And the way they put things together,
yeah,
Trump becomes president, therefore crab becomes cheaper.
Yeah, or that's what he wants it to be, yeah.
I mean, he was like, Trump in office, therefore all things are cheap now, right?
Yeah, that's funny. That's not how it works.
I was like, no, sweetie, that's not how this works. He's like, well, this isn't fair because everyone said that things were going to get cheaper with the economy. And I was like, well, yeah, actually, you're right. I am going to go write a letter to the president about crab. Now that I'm thinking about it, you make perfect effing sense, son. And I'm going to go talk to the manager about this.
I mean, he got a point.
From the mouths of babes.
Yes, exactly.
Well, speaking of babes, my son has come to remind me that I got 2 hours. He's like, are you going to be done? Now, you would think that because I'm a forward planner and I'm trying to be all adult and functional, I made a bunch of bacon for like bacon lettuce sandwiches and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So their need to get sustenance wouldn't be solely dependent on me. But he's like, the bacon is gone. What are we going to do? I'm like, I made a full pound of bacon. What are you talking about? It's all gone.
Jeez. Yeah.
Well,
that's funny.
You got to think,
There's
six kids.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem, it goes really fast because, like one person takes a bite and then the other person takes one. And then, it just takes like a couple kids. Because I do notice that they circle the kitchen kind of like sharks when there's bacon. So they kind of just continue to move and then walk past the bacon pile.
I think that's just like normal male behavior.
Yeah. Although, okay, we're going to divide the chat now. Crispy bacon, like burnt crispy. I like my bacon crispy, but still bendable. Like, I don't like bacon that crumbles apart.
It's got to be crispy, but if it turns into crumbles, then that's a little too much. But it still has to be crispy, though. It can't be no floppy bacon.
I can do a chewy bacon. The burnt thing is yucky to me. Burnt thing is like you broke bacon. Like, how do you desecrate bacon?
Yeah, there's a line. It is a fine line, but there is a line.
Is. But, and Mr. Mo, if you're watching, don't say I never do nothing for you. Now, Mr. Mo, his family grew up, I'm guessing, just not knowing how to cook bacon because they like burnt bacon. And I'm talking like scorched, like, I don't know. Now, my theory on this is that his grandmother grew up in the Depression and her mom wasn't a really good cook. She burnt bacon and it's the Depression. So when you get bacon, you don't throw it away, even if you burn it. Yeah. And that's how she taught. And so they thought that was good, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad, okay?
But if you're hungry, I mean.
Oh, I can taste the burn.
Well, but if you're hungry and that's all you got, the Depression at least, like, I mean, then you're gonna eat it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what Mr. Mo is like. You have actually thought through the logic and given this an entire backstory. I was like, yes, would you like to hear it? And is like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, so many things. I don't even know how to pinpoint them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's but it was like I mean I remember like my mom telling me how they grew up like, very poor in Arkansas, and like how they fought each other sometimes, the kids, for food. So
Yeah,
it's like I get it. Like
I
I can
get it.
understand how you'll eat whatever you can get your hands on, but like
It
yeah.
still doesn't explain liver and onions to me. Like, just no. All the no.
I understand why some people would enjoy it, but it's not for me.
No, again, I know it's gonna be completely bad, but it's a texture thing for me. 'Cause I know it's a really good source of iron, and I'm supposed to be taking more iron in, and people are like, "Oh, no, if you grind it up in ground beef, like, you won't even taste it." And I'm like, "No, I would know it's there, though."
Yeah, I mean, but that's like saying if you drink blood, you'll get more iron. It's like, sure, but it's weird.
True. Can you make it into a gummy form? Because I am of the opinion that if all of my nutrients could just come in gummy form, I'd be so much more healthy.
You probably could. I mean, like the amount of things that you can get in gummies now is kind of ridiculous. Like I only take one thing in a gummy, and that's because I despise the smell of vinegar. I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
it. And so I take ACV, but I can't stand it. So it's the only thing that I take in gummy form is ACV.
I can understand that. Well, I am going to be sending you guys over to Vice Baby. It looks like he's having a Saturday Screw It stream or something of that effect. So I am sending you over there. So thank you guys for joining us. We will be doing some sort of Lori Vallow. Maybe we'll actually let her talk next time. It'll be, chance will be a fine thing. Who knows? It's a roll of the dice around
Yeah.
here. We may stay on subject, we may not.
Yeah.
Bye, you guys.
See ya.